Well, hello everybody. Welcome to this very special episode of the Wraparound because today we're going to be focusing mainly on the round two matchups of the Stanley Cup playoffs. As we all know, something's happened in Game 7 between the Leafs and the Habs, which we'll be discussing a little bit later on. So please stay tuned for that because I know that Alessia will have a lot to say, and I know for a fact that Grace will have a lot to say as well.
The Wraparound with Grace, Alessia, and Maryuri.
But before we get up to that crazy hot mess that's probably going to be in a little bit soon, in a minute or two, we're going to start off with the new matchups in the East, or the new matchup, I should say. So the new matchup right now in the East Division is between the Boston Bruins and the New York Islanders, which is pretty much what we predicted the last show, that like what we thought was going to be the matchup. And currently the series is tied 1-1. So give me, like your thoughts on what you guys think about this series so far.
Well, like you said, we kind of both predicted the teams that would be going through. So this matchup was kind of like what we had seen coming. In the first game, it wasn't too tight of a game. Boston won 5-2. And like me and Maryuri mentioned, I believe it was the episode that it was just us two. Boston really looks like a great team. And since acquiring Taylor Hall, I feel like there's kind of like a new vibe to that team. Everything's going very cohesive so far. In game 1, Pastrnak got a hat trick. Game 2, it was a bit more tight. Islanders won 4-3. It was a close game. Islanders had the lead, but Bruins also showed that they can come back, and they did. But the Islanders did win an OT with a goal from Cizikas. So it's going to be a pretty good matchup, but Boston is looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. I mean, I guess if we're gonna predict, I'm gonna say the Bruins for now. Just because like me and Alessia were talking that day, they just, I don't know, they look really whole. They just look like they're all on the same page. They kind of, they just flow really well together right now. I don't think they have any really big missteps or miscues when it comes to, passing or, connections on goals and scoring and stuff like that. And so as much as the Islanders are, a great team and they've been playing actually really, really well as well, I don't know, I think the Bruins have the edge in that series.
I was also going to go with the Bruins, so we're really differentiating ourselves today.
Yeah, we really are.
But like, apart from how skilled both of these teams are, I think this is going to be one of the series that's going to stand out as a really physical series, and one that we're going to see a lot of, where like the physicality really contributes to the outcome of these games. So I think that that's something to, keep an eye out for. It won't be a surprise if things get a little bit heated throughout this series.
Oh yeah. I feel like any games really in those like Eastern divisions within the States are always like I was gonna say hot and heavy, but that does not sound right. That does not sound right.
This isn't a Wattpad fan fiction,
Yeah,
Maryuri.
It does not sound right. I guess you can, whatever, exactly what Grace is saying, just aggressive. But okay, moving on, because that was, I don't know what I was thinking there. Let's move on to the Central, and we're going to talk about Tampa and Carolina. Basically, the exact same thing that we predicted last time. That, I mean, actually, with Tampa and Florida, that was a tough one. We really didn't know who was going to win that series because it was actually a really great back and forth. We kind of expected Carolina to win against the Preds, so no surprises there. But yes, Tampa is currently leading the series 1-0. They're playing tonight, the night that we're actually recording, so you guys will know whether or not, Tampa leads 2-0 or if Carolina ties. But this is a series that I'm actually really excited for. It's one that I'm going to start watching now that I don't have any other team to watch. It's no surprise to you guys that I really liked Carolina, and I've always kind of been a big fan of Carolina. So I'm hoping that they can kind of get through Tampa here. But I think this is another kind of unpredictable matchup that you really can't say too much who's going to win? I guess maybe people are going to lean more towards Tampa, but I don't know. I feel like Carolina can really give them a hard time in this one.
I think this matchup is a really great one just because when you look at game one, it was 2-1 for Tampa. But when you look at where the goals were scored, 2 out of the 3 goals were scored on the power play, which just shows you how strong and how tight the game is going to be 5v5. So that's something to look out for sure.
I'm the same as Marjorie now that I have no happiness left in the world. I'm gonna start
my.
watching the Lightning and Hurricanes, and I feel like not only is this a really great matchup in terms of skill, like Alessia mentioned, but it's also a really great matchup in terms of like heart.
Yeah, I think that's why I've always been kind of so attracted towards Carolina because they're such a fun team and they always look like they're having like just like the time of their lives playing. And you can really tell because, there's a reason as to why they get so far and why they've been playing so well this season. It's because when you have good chemistry and you have good relationships with your teammates, you're obviously going to perform really well. So Grace looks at me with a straight face. But yes, another interesting series and definitely one that I'm going to start watching. But basically the theme for this episode is talking about the second round matchups, but we can't get to the North Division matchup without briefly mentioning what happened in Game 7. So as we all know, Montreal came back being 3-1, down 3-1 in the series, and they won in Game 7, and now they're going to be facing off the Winnipeg Jets. I'm going to preface this by saying I am not angry anymore.
Anymore.
Yeah, we have to put a really heavy emphasis on the anymore.
Okay, this is what I kept on telling Grace, and I was telling my best friend too, that I think I would be more angry if the Leafs lost, and even though they were playing amazing, but they lost because they were playing bad, and I don't feel bad at that necessarily because Montreal really started playing a lot better and they practically beat them in all aspects. They got their power play together. Price was absolutely unbelievable. And I guess we can all kind of agree that he's probably the main reason why the Canadians were able to get to the second round. And so just seeing how well, they came back and they started playing and fighting really hard. I can't really be that angry as to why the Leafs lost. But that's just how I'm feeling right now.
I mean, coming from me, being down 3-1 in the series, especially after game 4, I really didn't think we would come back, that the Habs would come back at all. And throughout the series, some of the decisions, or at least Ducharme's decisions, I didn't agree with. But I think both the players and the coach, kind of like you hinted, Marjorie, they kind of settled into the series as it went on. So from game 5 onward, the players in leadership roles stepped up. Ducharme slowly managed his lines very well, one being Dano line against the Matthews line, which worked all series. And, while KK and Caulfield didn't start the series, which I personally didn't agree with because I thought they're two key players to this team, Ducharme slowly put them in positions that they would succeed in when they were in the lineup. So that was huge. And like Marjorie mentioned, Carey Price was incredible. He took it to the next level. It's one of the main reasons they made it on to the second round. But I think game 6 and 7 was a full effort from the Habs. And I'm really, really happy that they proved me wrong and a lot of people wrong.
Grace.
Yeah, I know you are. I know you're happy.
The pain in Grace's voice.
That's the thing. I'm like Marjorie. I'm not mad. I don't care because it's like whatever, but it's just like exhausting because how many years are they going to do this? And I can totally agree. And this is where I'm going to say it, and it sounds harsh, but I don't mean it in a harsh way. In terms of skill, like on paper, Toronto deserved to win. But I'm not angry because on the ice, they didn't deserve to win. Montreal managed to take I'm putting quotes around this, subpar playoff team and advance to the second round because they were able to beat them out in terms of like teamwork and togetherness. And the Leafs just didn't have that, it was surprising, but it also wasn't surprising.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what goes on this summer. Clearly, there's something going on in the locker room where they just don't either get it or they just, they don't prepare themselves well enough. They have so much experience, in terms of vets and stuff like that. And of course, people are going to say, it's obviously hard to have your captain out in any scenario, but you shouldn't only rely on your captain to constantly be, cheering up the team and, boosting up the team, because I don't remember seeing one player on that bench when the Leafs were playing so bad, cheering the guys on and, getting them pumped up and riled up. I don't remember seeing one guy do that on the bench. And that takes a toll on, performance.
Yeah, and I think, Dubas checked all the boxes. Like
Yes.
every single box
Mhm.
for the Leafs. And then you had 4 other veteran leadership style type guys on this team that could have stepped up when Tavares went out. And that's not to say that Spezza didn't, because I think he tried.
Yes, he did.
And, but I think there was a really disappointing effort, and here she goes again, from Joe Thornton as a veteran team player who could have stepped up for this team and didn't.
There are 2 people on that team that nobody should be blaming. One of them being Jason Spezza, because he actually played really well. And 2 being Jack Campbell. And I saw the video of Jack Campbell talking in the presser, and he was really upset with himself and saying how, the team relies on him and stuff. And I'm like, Jack, you're the only person that shouldn't be angry with themselves.
Yeah.
Please, for the love of God. He did absolutely everything, especially in game 6, to keep the Leafs alive in order to, come back and be able to go into OT. He had so many unbelievable saves, and, it's just the team in front of him that wasn't able to get the job done.
One more point, and I'm going to speak to Montreal, because I think that in this series, there was 3 star players: Jack Campbell, Carey Price, and, drum roll please, William Nylander.
Yes.
William Nylander sparked the offense for Toronto in 4 of these 7 games? He scored the first goal for the Leafs. And I think that, you can't dismiss that. Mm-hmm. And then you also have to raise up Carey Price, because, oh my God. And you guys touched on this already, but really, I can't get over it.
It's like, there's no way you could hate Carey Price. Like, even as a Leafs fan or any fan in general, there's no way you can hate Carey Price, because he's such an unbelievable goaltender. And to think that he's, obviously 33, and obviously most hockey players hit their prime in their late 20s, mid to late 20s. It still seems like he's in his prime. It's unbelievable to think that he can be kind of that force in net for a team that, people, really downplayed, and he showed everybody why they shouldn't speak too soon.
I just want to, okay, this is going to get heavy for a minute and apart from hockey, because in the post-game press conferences, the media asked Carey Price about the 215 little ones that were found in Kamloops, British Columbia, in the residential school in an unmarked grave. And as an Indigenous person, I do want to say that don't do that. Don't ask players about this kind of trauma, because residential schools are a intergenerational trauma, and I deal with that trauma. My grandmother was a residential school survivor, and so was Carey Price's grandmother. It affects families for generations, and I think, I really need to point out that wasn't okay, because it's not Indigenous people's jobs to teach others what Canada's history is.
Well said.
Exactly.
Very, very well said.
So,
no.
Yeah.
No, thanks for bringing it up. But yeah, I think that's kind of all we're going to say with that, because I'm going to give Alessia more of the floor in talking about the matchup that's going to be going on next, which is now the Winnipeg Jets, obviously, versus the Montreal Canadiens. Very interesting. I'm interested to see how Montreal keeps up with their power play, and if they can keep it up, and especially after how Winnipeg played against Edmonton. But yes, Alessia, give us your thoughts.
I think when I look at the Habs, one thing that needs to be perfect going into the second round is them playing a full 60 minutes. We saw a couple of times during the series that the Habs blew leads, where they started off really intense first period, and then they ran out of steam by the third period. And I think that just can't happen with the Jets, because they're really deep at every position, like we've mentioned so many times. And like we mentioned, Carey Price has been lights out, and he needs to keep up that exceptional play, because this round, nothing against Jack Campbell, because he was great for the Leafs, but goaltending is going to be stronger with Hellebuck in net. That's for sure. And the Canadians will also have to keep trusting their young players, because I feel like when they gave the young players like Caulfield, KK, and Suzuki bigger roles, that's where they took off, basically, as a team. So, kind of to put it simply, Ducharme needs to keep managing his lines better, including not relying heavily on 4 defensemen. And you guys probably know this. I would love to see Romanov be given a chance
Yes.
in these playoffs. So, let's hope he does get a chance with this team. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this one too. Just seeing how Montreal, has kind of come out of the situation, and who knows, maybe they'll surprise Winnipeg next. You never know.
I'm just most excited. Follow Alessia on Twitter at @Aless_Habs for her all capitals Tyler Toffoli tweets. Because that is what I'm most excited to see for the next 2 weeks.
Her exciting tweets, her passive-aggressive tweets.
Oh my God.
Her happy tweets, her sad tweets. It's a roller coaster of emotions when you follow Alessia on Twitter, but you guys will love it. So please follow her. Alessia, what's your handle? Tell the world.
Aless_Habs.
There you go. Go follow for your Habs content, ladies and gentlemen. But now we're going to move on to the last matchup of these playoffs, which is in the West Division, Vegas Golden Knights versus Colorado Avalanche. As you all know, Colorado absolutely killed Vegas in game 1. And I wrote here in capital letters, yikes, because it was 7-1. It was 7-1. And, I feel like that's not surprising, but at the same time, I didn't expect them to get blown out like that in the first game.
7-1.
It's just the first game, and that's understandable, but still, I mean, my prediction for this series is that Colorado will go through, because me and Alessia have been talking about this quite a lot as well, that Colorado is actually also a very, very great team. But yeah, Grace, what are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling like I have to retrace my steps for the past year and figure out what I did that was so bad to anger the hockey gods. Because I'm really not what did Alessia do that was so good?
I said the Leafs were a good team.
She's patient.
Everything.
The Habs are moving on. Her Stanley Cup pick is killing it. Like what is the difference here? I'm thoroughly retracing my steps. But I don't know. I feel like I can really speak from a Vegas side that they're tired. Like, does that make sense? They seem tired. Their goaltending is really what kept them in for the first round from Marc-Andre Fleury for the first few games. He had an outstanding save percentage, and then Robin Leonard came in this past game and just absolutely gave it up.
Yeah.
And Marc-Andre Fleury also got worse. But Alessia, tell me things.
No, I was going to say the exact same thing in terms of goaltending. I don't know what flipped the switch with Vegas to put in Leonard when Marc-Andre Fleury was having a pretty good series. It kind of shocked me a bit, to be honest. And when you think of Colorado, they're once again showing how much higher level they're at in terms of other teams this playoffs. McKinnon Landeskog had both 2 goals, and Cale Makar, who I talk of so highly all the time, he added to the offense with 4 points that game. Or no, 1 goal and 4 assists.
Insane.
Sure, which is insane. So
yeah, that team is also killer. I think, if I think ideal final, I think would be Boston in Colorado, because I feel like that would be like a killer final, like in terms of, just agility and strength and also just enjoyment. I think that'd be an awesome final, but wild things can happen in sports, and one will never really know. But yeah, Colorado.
I mean, you guys know they're my cup favorites. And I made a mistake. So Cale Makar, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. So I was right first. But I really like the Avalanche. I really like them. You guys know that.
But I think we all know that. But no, it's a good team to choose, and they've been unbelievable. It was upsetting to see them not go so far, obviously last year, because they were also your favorites last year. But
I just want to. I'm looking at the box score for this Vegas Colorado game, the game one, and they are all roughing or misconducts. They're all of their penalties are roughing penalties or misconducts. And I think it was Colorado and they had a 9-minute power play, didn't they?
yeah, I think they did.
Yeah.
It was so crazy. I saw something. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I take back what I said about the Boston and Islanders series. And if you're looking for physicality, turn over to this one.
Yeah, and clearly, obviously, the Nazem Kadri thing hasn't really, affected them at all. His suspension was obviously upheld, and I think he's going to go through an arbitrator to try to get that settled. But I don't think Colorado's really missing him right now, and it'll be okay if he sits out a few more. I don't think.
Yeah, we mentioned it last episode that obviously Kadri would be a loss to the Avalanche, but I think they have too deep of a roster to really like kind of use that as an excuse to let's just say they lose, which I don't think they really will a lot this series has the looks of it, but they're too deep of a roster to be like that's a huge loss for them. They have a lot of other great players, so.
Well said. Well said. But yeah, so quick little overview. We are predicting that Boston will win the East. What do we say for Central? Tampa?
I'm going Carolina.
I want to go Carolina too.
You know what? Like, I want to go Carolina too. I think we've seen enough of
Carolina.
Tampa.
Okay, yeah, okay. Let's go Carolina with Central. With the North. Oh, okay. As much as I love you, Alessia, I have to say Winnipeg right now, just because I think they're a little bit more put together, but that means nothing because of course the Leafs were like that too. But I'm gonna say Winnipeg for now. I could eat my words later on.
Yeah, I really did fall asleep thinking about this last night. And I was like, okay, the Jets and the Habs, what's gonna go down here? And I feel like it could either go two ways. The most kind of obvious way is that the Jets are gonna go on.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that I'm gonna go with the Habs. I'm gonna go with the Habs. I hate my life.
I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to jinx anything. So
okay, fair enough. Me and Grace are split half for that one.
But you guys made both really good points. So that's all I'll say. I'm gonna be like Marjorie last episode. I don't want to jinx anything.
Yeah,
so I'm not gonna say anything.
I'm not gonna talk. That's all I'm gonna say. But in the West, I think the most obvious answer for us is probably Colorado. Even though Grace's heart is with Vegas, I think she knows that it's probably
no. I think it's gonna be Colorado.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think after game 1, they should go back with Fleury.
Hopefully
for Grace's sanity.
Oh, absolutely.
For Grace's
if they
sanity.
Don't. I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself.
Just throw away the series. Just don't even watch it.
Just throw away the whole Stanley Cup playoffs. Like, I'm done. I'm over it. If they don't put Fleury back in for game 2, I'm finished. You won't see me next week.
See you later. But okay. So yeah, that was our quick little, I guess, run through that second round. Hopefully next week we'll have obviously a lot more games played, and then we can talk about it a bit more and kind of give our predictions for round 3 for the conference finals. I guess you could call it round 3 if you wanted to.
That's what Sportsnet's calling it. So I think we go with round 3.
Round 3? Okay, good.
Round 3.
I thought I made that up in my head for whatever reason. I was like, do they call it round 3? Because you don't call the finals round 4, do you?
Technically,
no,
it's
but
round 4,
should.
but you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, usually the third round is the conference finals.
See, that's what I was saying. Right. Conference finals. It just, whatever. You guys know what I mean out there. But as always, I end off the episode by asking Alessia and Grace a question. And now my question for you guys is, who is your top performer of the playoffs so far? And Grace, I feel like I know who your pick is just by looking at your face. So tell me.
I think that if you compared this episode to the radio show or one of our first podcast episodes, you'd see my immense growth as a person. Because my top performer of the playoffs so far is Carey Price.
I knew it.
That's mine too.
Yeah, I would have to agree. how could it not be? I mean, all the series were pretty much, I guess, kind of decided in the first few games, and nothing unpredictable really happened. This was the only series where it was kind of a really big upset in terms of how the teams performed in the regular season.
Was it upsetting, Marjorie?
But yes, Carey Price, he was the man, and I hope he continues being that guy for them in the second round. I really do. But yes. I'm trying to be as neutral as possible so we're not fighting on this show today, okay? Please. Come on. We have to keep
I feel
this
bad
friendship
for you
together.
guys.
I came in here with a caffeine-fueled rage, so I'm impressed that I've gotten this far without like blowing a vein or something.
We have to keep this group together, please. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Lots of different things from last week, but stay tuned, keep in touch with us, let us know your thoughts about the second round, who your favorites are, get in touch with us, talk to us, and then maybe next week we'll see if Alessia is upset or happy with how things are going. Maybe it'll be her turn, but I hope not. I wouldn't inflict that pain on anybody.
Can you imagine the three of us just miserably covering the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs?
I mean, that was us last year. But yes, thank you guys for listening. Stay tuned, and we'll talk to you next week.